we start the second part of the day with actually the last part of the talk. Then we will go for a little exercise because of the good food. So be ready for the International Barrel Race. I will ask discipline again because we have to work all together like a family. So I remember when I was taking Alois to the school and I have to, by myself, to drive those 40 kids from one point A to point B. I know it's an impossible mission, so please make it possible today. Thank you very much. And after the little exercise, which is bringing us to actually the venue of tomorrow for the festival, so the Point de Vue, we will have the podium for those that have been the elite of, some of you've been there last time, so I think you have a little training, so the other you will have to challenge. This year, no excuse to not run, very sorry. So you're gonna roll the barrels. You have experts, you have Eric, I don't know, Eric is actually, they're setting up the place, but you have the fantastic antique society of the Rouleurs de Barrique de Saint-Émilion, which are going to train you first. Then they will manage you during the race. And finally, they will give us a fantastic demo of what the French can do when they definitely want to roll the things. It's not every day. So after the podium and the demo, we back here. We have to be on time, like always. So meaning we will start the grand tasting at 6. So between 6 and 7:30, it's time to relax. It's a very unique way of doing the tasting. Usually, we are always the one to pour for everybody. This time, everybody will pour for everybody. So that means that, all your product will be set up by Noam's and team, and there is no stand, as you have understood. This is like displays, and you're free to pour your precious that you brought, barrel age, but also you're very free to escape, give the bottle to the good friends, and go taste the other. So this is what it is. The chef will cook great things for you. Hopefully, we're not anymore in the day, so we can have all the alcohol, all the beers, everything we want. So and we will enjoy it for an hour, 30 minutes. And then this is the time for the gala dinner with actually 3 big times. First, we will have the keynote of the Master of Barrel, let's say mob now, because you all know the meaning, even the new ones. And after the mob keynote, where I will ask you what you want for the future, we will have the Master of Barrel Awards. During the Master of Barrel Awards, we will thank the old members for the foundation. And at the end of the dinner, we will welcome the new Master of Barrel. So Julia, Grand Mob, will knight the distillers. And David Santos will knight the new members, new brewers members. That's it. And then the night is free, so stand the night. That's it. So I'm very, very happy to welcome again, but with a new skin and a new talk, East London Liquor Company team. Please make an ovation for those 2 big men. They are introducing the last part of our talk, which is about the future. And the title I found for them to talk about it is what happens when you disrupt with your classic. So it's all about changing skin. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Hello.
You know my name. This is Sam, who arrived late because the Eurostar was less punctual than Alex, and he missed his connection. Cool. Good. I've been given not as much notice as perhaps I would have liked for this, so apologies if I'm glancing at my phone for notes. I'm not just watching something else. Love a bit of soundtrack. That's great. So we found ourselves in a bit of a challenging situation pre-pandemic, long before a rogue bat went wild in Wuhan. We realized that when we started, there was probably seven distilleries in London that made their own liquid. And by year 4 or 5, there was probably about 30. And the craft movement, whatever that means, had grown to something like 340 distilleries in the UK. And the skin, the look and feel of what we had built from the beginning, which was once very unique and very striking and different, suddenly became very homogeneous and very similar. And when you looked at a shop shelf or a back bar, you couldn't see our product anymore because there was lots of products that all looked and felt very similar. We internally don't use the C word, as we call it, because we're not really sure what it means for us. And we try very hard to be as transparent and as articulate as we can be about what we stand for and what we do. But because of our positioning as an independent distillery and because of what we do, we have been referred to many times as a craft distillery, which is fine. But we realized that actually what that meant was it opened up a lot of misunderstanding. And so we had to ask ourselves some fairly tough questions. We had to start with what was the challenge? What were we challenging? And I guess the answer to that was the category as a whole. What were the principles that we would live and die by? What gets us out of bed in the morning, apart from our children and coffee? And what is the business that we're in? Yes, we make great booze. We all make great booze. But what does that actually mean? It's a business of hospitality. It's a business of socializing. It's a business of connecting with people. And how do we want the customers to feel about us? Yes, we want them to feel love and comfort and excitement, but there's more to it than that. And what really is the bravest thing that we could do as a brand, and how could we re-articulate what we've always done? Because the people and the liquid is the same. We've been making rye whiskey since month 6 or month 7 of the business. So the kind of internal excitement and fun and innovation and kind of guerrilla approach has always been there. But how could we re-articulate and move from an upside-down horse and a butcher's hook in a dark black and green bottle to our new livery, which is not up there, but it's very different. So when I asked the team, like, what do we need to do? What will it take to win? How do we re-articulate what we do better and come out in a stronger position? I was met with 2 resounding questions, answers. The first one was money from sales and marketing, which I expected. And then the other one, which is probably less expected but more potent, is bravery. What we needed was to be brave. That bravery wasn't really going to be optional if we were going to reimagine how we present ourselves to the world. And so we went on a journey which started long before COVID and carried on through COVID to re-articulate what we do. And I guess I'm going to just chat a little bit briefly about what that meant. The context still is that trust in media, trust in the government, trust in governments generally is on the decline. We all know that. And as trust falls, integrity needs to rise from a brand's perspective. If trust in what you normally trust declines, we as brands have the responsibility to be more transparent, have greater integrity, to show some kind of level of some sort of standard, some level of a sort of level of principle of how we operate. And what we found is that consumers are buying into people who speak the truth, who take a stand, who say, this is what I believe, this is the ethos, and this is what we do. So that was quite a I mean, it sounds easy to say it now, but it took months of thinking about it, talking to our customers, talking to our stakeholders, talking to our on-trade customers, our off-trade customers, and really realizing that at the beginning we thought we didn't have a tribe, and we thought, who are the people that sort of back us? And then we looked at our sales channels and realized that actually 90% of our sales was in the on-trade. So there's the tribe. You've got thousands of bartenders who are buying our product every week and every month. And this is an audience of people that most big booze brands don't talk to because, well, for many reasons. And so we realized that we needed to kind of amplify that and amplify why they believed in us, because they were already buying our product. We didn't need to. This wasn't about selling more booze. We were already selling lots of booze. This is about being better, more articulate. And so what we realized was that actually where we sat, where we were positioned by others, was in a position of being an underdog, of being scrappy, unconditional, and kind of bold, if you like. And that's a kind of lovely place to be, because who doesn't back the underdog? We're not a big brand where we're not cutting checks for people to buy our product. We're selling our product based on the why, on why we do it. We all know that the what is far less interesting than the why, ultimately, because that's really where the emotional engagement with a bartender or a consumer in a shop is really going to fire up, and that's what brings people back for another bottle. Obviously, the liquid has to be good, but the more potent bit of the what is always the why. So we went from looking very old school and looking like we'd always been there to looking very fresh. And our view was always we'd much rather like to be loved passionately by 1,000 people than be vanilla to 10,000 people. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful moment, equally painful as a founder, but also wonderful when people are like, I hate it, Alex. And I'm like, yes, at least there's a strong emotion. So for every 90 people that say, Alex, I love the brand, I love what you've done with it, if 10 people say to me, Alex, it's awful, I'm never buying your gin again, I know we're winning.
And there was quite a few of those.
And there was quite a few of them, yeah. Because at least I know we've got a strong response. And so the people that buy our product don't buy it because it's the only thing in the shop. They buy it because they've walked an extra 3 blocks down the road because they only had Gordon's in their corner shop and they want East London. And that's wonderful. So that's a little kind of overview. Sam's going to dive into the whiskey history of what we've been making and why. That this really underpins everything I'm talking about. There is no brand and liquid; it's all one. And the reimagining of how we look and feel as a brand was always underpinned by doing the same things with the liquid.
Yeah, I guess. So we've been making, many styles of whiskey for quite a few years, since 2015. The rye's always been a one. We try and kind of do at least 6 months of rye production, at least 6 months of single malt production, like every year, depending on what single malt that is. That might be many different mash bills. I guess it's like when you start up, you kind of want to experiment and you want to find your own way. You don't want to. It's very easy to just copy lots of other people, right? It's really, you can be like, cool, Scotch Whisky Production does this. Let's just bash that out. That'll be fun. We can definitely make some good stuff. It's like you want to kind of make your own mistakes and find some things that don't work for yourself rather than having someone else tell you what it is. And there's definitely an element of that. There's definitely some things that do not work. Like, there's definitely a reason why lots of people use ex-bourbons and like New American or like New French Oak for just things. Like, those work. That makes a good whiskey. But to try and have all of these different casks, we've been experimenting with loads of different things like over the years. And I think that's when it comes to blending your things to try and make them the same as last year's when you have a headache, when you only have 40 different casks that are all completely different casks and you're having to try and mimic what you have the year before. You're like, okay, I see why people keep their cask selection the same now. That would make sense. But yeah, it's just an interesting thing. It makes you like try extra hard just to try and make a really, really great product. And if it's not the same, you work out that you can't do it the same, you're like, well, let's just make it really, really good instead. And then hopefully people will get on board with that. Like, yeah, it's not too different, but just extra tasting. And yeah, as our production goes up, we're looking to do 70,000 bottles next year. So that's, for like how big our setup is a lot. So yeah, it's really, really cool. Yes.
Disturbing all, like I like, but say, I mean, the challenge at the beginning, because we were waiting for the whiskey to be released, and same story, that gave us 3 years and more. I've been passionate. You brought me, I mean, the team brought me to the gin, which I had no clue before. So first we had to learn the botanics, and your way to make the cuisine. And then we were doing all this research about the best cask for the best gin. And I remember when we did together this actually revolution at the Gin Guild, the establishment of the English institution, who was controlling the Bridge of London because people were drinking more gin than water, because otherwise they will not pass the bridge anyway. So, this was so creative at the time. So my idea to follow is, we learn how from a large scale we have to make the natural selection to survive. This is what we're talking about. But how can we keep still the creativity in this strategy? And especially like with products that are disruptive with the classic, like gin, which was not made for barrel age.
I mean, it was a natural segue to take our white spirits and cask age them as a kind of experimental tool for our distillers, but also to give our customers an insight into the degree of exploration and fun we were going to have with the whiskey. It was a kind of little teaser. I mean, let's face it, there's not, you know, when it says gin on the bottle and it's yellow, it's not, most people don't think it's gin, right? So it's a hard sell, but the educational element of saying, you know, we put gin in a white wine cask or in a rum cask or a peated cask was great for you to experiment, but it was also great to be able to take bartenders and do a smoky gin and tonic with a peated gin. And yeah, so it was a nice development into our whiskey. We never make gin, by the way, to make whiskey, to be clear. The plan was always to hold the tension between making white spirits and whiskey, because the kind of English, the British culture and the relationship to gin, to have a distillery in London and not make gin, to me seemed insane. And the degree of, there's such a different approach to both liquids that if you can hold the tension of the emotional piece of whiskey and the kind of alchemy and the magic that Sam and the team do of leaving something in a cask for 4 years and then blending it and then putting it in a bottle, to the speed and the fun and the development of gin, then there's a really lovely dynamic.
Yeah, and I guess when you start experimenting with putting gin and other things in casks, like even before you have whiskey to age properly, you're still learning things about how cask aging does. Like you can read like papers and papers on it, and like until you start doing it and then tasting it 2 years down the line or even 6 months of how things go, you're like, oh, right, that's really not had the impact that I thought it would, or it's had way more impact. So it's kind of just like, yeah, learning how to understand how casks work and just, yeah, how long a certain flavor of a white spirit needs to be in there for. Because with whiskey, obviously, you've got the minimum of 3 years, so it's like 3 years is that, like, and then you're looking for older than that. But gin, you're like, well, it could be 2 weeks, could be 2 months, could be like a year and a half, it could be any amount of time. You're tasting and working out when that barrel interaction is the best, working best with that spirit that's in it. So you can kind of, the experimentation is then even bigger than what it would be before. So, yeah, and you're learning every time about how casks work. Like,
so are we Darwinist? Darwin? Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Very interesting. Thanks a lot. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions? No?
Yeah, sure. I think it's the time to, because I think we're very relaxed now, and actually it's now. Any question? Ready? In the circle. I mean, I would like to hear someone like Julia reacting with this, because you are the matrix for many of us. we learned so much with you, and now we are making a revolution. So I still want your reaction with this. I would like to hear Uta, which is producing Stobbe gin. And Uta, I said this is a gin who exists since 1778. So not part of the Gin Guild because German, but still. This I would like to hear Levira, which is doing Adamus. So please, the three of you interact with East London because this is part of the family table talk. Please. So I bring the mic. Yes, I forgot that you're producing a gin. This is true. Sorry. So who else? We start with Tal, otherwise he's going to kill me. You know, I have to go back home, and without him, I can't back home. Go ahead.
The question is to you and to him, because you deal with barrels, and because the turnover you just said about gin, it's not turnovers of whiskey, it's not turnovers of wine, it's a turnover of a week. So once you put gin a week in a barrel, the next time you want to put the gin for another week, it was already a week in a gin, so the turnover on the barrels is much quicker.
How you deal with the Tetris?
You understand? Because it has to be the same gin you put for 1 week. The second week you put the gin in. It's not the same like the first gin. You understand what I say?
We've never repeated a barrel-aged gin release, so everything is new, basically. And even if it's been used for gin, then it goes back in the barrel storage outside and potentially used for anything else. So as long as the cask keeps hydrated, we can just keep reusing it for other things. So we have put whiskey in gin casks that we've used.
There is different line. I mean, Matthew can talk about what he's doing in Burgundy right now. So yes, we do not only great white wine. Now Matthew is renewing the whole Fine and Mar de Bourgogne, which was going to disappear. So he's another member of the family to renew the classics. And maybe you can speak about your gin as well a little bit.
We do gin in barrels, and we use them only one time. Once you used it for gin, it's over. It's over, yeah.
Tal is doing a gin with a Moscatel barrel. And it was by chance, because he asked me for a white one, and sometimes we go too fast, so that was a red one. But it turned into a rosé gin, and he get great success because a pink rosé was the first one in the Middle East to do that. So, you know, a lot of things happen by chance. No? Yes. What?
The next time you want the same barrels, and the second time you use it, it's not like the first time.
Right. That's why I sell more barrel.
But he doesn't then buy them back.
Cold bestseller. Toda Rabba.
You buy them back, right?
Sorry?
You buy them back for the same price you sold it, right?
That's another story.
More.
I should not open the mic. It's a big... I felt in the trap, so... Okay, Julia, please react. Give the mic to Julia.
I have two questions, which probably...
Or one question. Otherwise, we're running out of time.
But I was aware that you had that super small barrel cellar just underneath your production area. And so in the meantime, you have a much bigger space. Did you feel, or what was the difference you could find in quality in the barrel?
So the quality is the same, really. But yeah, the aging of the smaller barrels downstairs was much, much, much faster. Mm-hmm. So we were getting kind of, I guess, 3 years aging from about a year to 11, like a year to 13 months, I guess. And it's kind of just then a bit more of a logistical headache to having to empty things constantly and move things around. Whereas actually, if you kind of fill hogsheads or 225s or something, it's just, it can stay there, and then it maybe needs a finish at the end. But yeah, mainly. And also, we're not allowed to keep stuff down in that basement anymore.
Okay, so you don't use it for barrel aging anymore?
Uta, please. So Uta is the specialist of security side of this. So next year, we will have a talk with Uta. She will be much more stricter than I about are you going to put your distillery on fire? But that's for next year. Okay?
Yeah, next year.
So you have such an old brand, and it's a very niche brand, and with a very old recipe that you. So could you just? I remember the first time I brought you a bourbon cask.
Yes.
And you trust and you age in the bourbon cask, and then we did with the New York as well. So how did you find the force to just say, sorry, my ancestors, but I have something to try?
Let's say it like this: the first idea to do something like this with my spirit was anyway for the 240 anniversary of my company, because in 2016 I thought, okay, I need a special product, and then I looked at old pictures of my company and have seen that they put this the spirit in the barrel, and I thought, okay, I tried that, and I went back to my distillery and said, look, I need to put my gin in barrels. And he looked at me, what, gin in barrels? What the hell you want to do there? And then we tried some bourbon barrels first. So, and this was the first time we met in 2017 when I had the first spirit out of the barrels.
We met a little bit before, but that was another strict English ceremony for celebrate the old generation. But that's where we disrupt. We disrupt that night.
Yeah, but for me, the question actually is for the guys. So you only use your cask once? Because I tried it a second time, and we found out that the oily way how the spirit comes out of the barrel was even better.
Fantastic. I would like to hear a new member of the family, so please give a good applause to Sophie from Cooper King, which is part of the family of Alex as well, the English Whiskey Guild. So please stand up. We don't know you, so don't be shy. Hi. Sophie from Cooper King.
Hi. My question is that when you decided to be a little bit more disruptive and kind of almost put the idea of the brand almost on its head, did you start to think about sustainability? Did you start to think about making a few changes within your production that would help? Maybe, did you do anything like that?
We've been working for the last 14 months on submitting our B Corp, which we have. We're in that on that journey. Interestingly, having gone through the B Corp application, it was lovely to realise that we probably did 30 or 40% of what they required already. We just didn't articulate that we did. Being a young, scrappy startup, we don't have an HR department. So you're looking at it, I'm afraid. So from a sort of governance, staff welfare, supply chain point of view, that's all been implemented in line with what B Corp kind of require. From a production point of view, it's much harder because, as we all know, distilling is not a very what's the right word? Green. It's very energy efficient, intensive. Sorry, and so in the space that we have, it's very hard to make changes. But we have made some. But we were making those changes long before we started doing B Corp. I think the point is that the ethos of the brand hasn't changed. We just talk about it better.
Yeah.
Where is the? Oh, sorry. Someone can give the mic to who was first. I mean, we are in family, so.
Thanks. What scope is there for you to age your whiskey in your ex-gin barrels and vice versa, so that you could do an in-house exchange?
So that's currently happening. We've got, I think, 10 or 11 ex-gin casks that the whiskey's being aged in. Kind of yet to see. I think they were only filled about 18 months ago. So, yeah. But there is, the idea is to kind of, keep them in-house for as long as we can use them, like vice versa. So we'll see.
Have you had a chance to see what's happening so far?
It's okay. I mean, it's still very just new makey at the moment, basically. Obviously, because gin's such a white spirit as well, and it's leached lots of the kind of whiskey flavour out already. They're quite neutral. There's a neutral kind of flavour profile that's coming out at the moment. But I think the idea is to keep it till it's maybe 3.5, 4, see what's happening. And then, yeah, if it's working well, then yeah, we'll do it again. Refill it with whiskey, or refill it with gin, and then just, yeah, keep it going for at least a few.
And do you think you might end up with whiskey that has a hint of juniper?
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, potentially. But then we're not going to be adding any juniper in, so at least it's just going to be, it'll be cask finish, I guess, by that point. But yeah, I guess that's kind of the age. See what happens.
It will make a great duo pack to sell. Thank you.
Can I ask one? What surprised you or excited you the most of your single malt releases so far, Sam?
The one that's coming out soon.
Which DHL have lost, otherwise you'd all be trying it shortly.
Can you tell us about it?
It may arrive tomorrow, we don't know. It's actually the most simple in terms of casks. It's just, so it's all distilling malt with a tiny bit of Europils or some Vienna, and then New American, ex-bourbon, and regenerated casks. Just pretty much like equal thirds of those. Like actually the most simple. But there's some slightly older stuff in there. So it's like some of it's over 4 years, some of it's kind of just 3 years. So it kind of balances out quite nicely. Yeah, it's a lot more. I don't know. Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my favorite so far.
What kind of flavors are you getting from it?
It's very sweet, and it's kind of it's got a lot of biscuit. I think we can't make anything that isn't biscuit in our distillery. It's just that's the distillery character. Like biscuit and like cocoa and like chocolate like comes through a lot. But yeah, it's a lot kind of sweeter on the front as well, and like just enough wood contact.
Let's hope it arrives. Great.
Does that cut anybody? Yes, you? Sorry. Did I cut you? Okay. I would like also this exchange in between Boan and East London about the precision in distilling the gin, because that's also another disruption, the molecular distillation. So it's a good chance, because just after this, we will talk about the future of oak, but I think it's the future of distillation as well.
Okay, good. I do have another question before that question. As you know, we're into mash bills, and we're into single pot still mash bills. We're just wondering, because you're in England and you don't really have too many rules compared to Scotch. I know you've created the English Whisky Guild, so congratulations on that. What kind of mash bills have you experimented with?
Quite a few, actually. So actually, we've experimented quite a bit with doing just like 100%, but of different barleys. So like lager malt, some like extra pale, some ale malt, some Marisotto, some Chevalier. Done like 100% mash bills of loads of those different things. And then, some 4-grain ones, especially with the rye. So we do like 25% rye, like 25% wheat, then 25% of some other kind of heavier, more kilned malts, which is difficult when it comes to the spirit run, because I feel like there's a lot of heavy biscuit that comes through, which only comes through right at the end of the distillation. So it's like you're really having to cut between like pushing your cut too deep, which is awkward. But you get some interesting stuff. Like I feel like some of those things take a bit longer to age out. So I think we only experimented maybe with that 2.5 years ago. So we're kind of yet to see what that's going to progress into. But they're tasting really interesting at the moment, like really, really interesting. It's kind of a very big flavor for a whiskey. Like it's a lot at the moment. But yeah, it's fun to play with. I think at the moment we're going to go back to just doing some more kind of standard 100% easier normal malts. And then maybe hit on, when we go back to rye production soon, hit off some weird things with rye as well.
Okay, thanks very much.
We absolutely, I mean, next year, I know already that we're in 2.0 or 3.0 next year already, because what is going on with the future of distilling it's super interesting. Where is Asail? So Asail is the master distiller also at Pelter, so part of Tal team, so for Pelter Winery Distillery, and we exchange now with some company in Israel. They develop a new technology about distilling with aging. So the aging is already incorporated to the distilling process, and they're still not ready to speak in front of us, even we are, it's intimistic. So I think next year they will be mature for that. And what you think about it? Yeah, you need a mic. Oh. No, it's Asael. Yeah.
What I think about the process that they're
the Verstil.
Verstil?
Yeah. So the company is called Verstil, so we are going through programs with them. They're not here today, but next year, for sure.
So for me, I have to say that I don't really understand the process that they are doing. I was reading about it, but still haven't got it yet. Though I was tasting it with Alex because he was there and bringing some samples, and it was perhaps like something that they're just 3 days, seems like 3 months. By taste, I don't know with the future how it will stand, but for the moment, seems that they are progressing. However, myself, I believe more in classic. I don't know, I'm a bit conservative with it. I don't know if it will stand or not. So
it's a shock. Yeah. It's even playing with the classic, like Pelter is very an ambassador of the classic in the Middle East, trying to work with the precision we have in Europe, and it's a blast. So be ready. Many things can happen in Israel. So.
And I wanted to say concerning the gin, that's what we found out aging our gin in Muscadel barrels. Actually, we were first tasting at your liquor company, the Muscadel, and we liked it, so we tried. Okay, let's try it. It was 3 months, perfect match. We said we don't want to wait anymore. 3 months is out. Very nice gin. I hope we will have a taste. And then
grand tasting later
today. Parallel, one of our team decided that we want to create a vermouth. Since we have a winery, why not trying this? So we said, why adding spices to the vermouth if we can spice it with the barrel? So this is our second turnover. So we have it today also to see that. So
yeah,
a big. So the use of the summer.
Yeah. Another drink.
Yeah. So we age of it.
Very, very interesting. Yeah.
So you use more on the same barrel.
It's basically educating the barrel and enhancing the DNA of the barrel. This is what we do in the wine forever. But and then Bruno and Christophe will tell you about how we can be so disruptive with the classic pot still, the cognac pot still. It's also something. But they're really pushing in this way. The last intervention, sorry, because we're running out of time. I would like Adamus, another new member in the family, and Rui, the master distiller, to talk about what you're doing yourself with your gin, please. So there is so much to hear from you. And it's also, but I would like just to give you a preview. So next year, we will really ask them to explain their journey. But right now, please tease us with what you did with Adamus. Please, in Portugal. Levira.
My name is Daniel. I'm just going to introduce because I'm the brand ambassador of the brand. Hi everyone. So basically, Adamus Spirits want to do something different in terms of spirits, and we have let's say a unique product. So we have on the same brand, Adamus, we have a gin. It's a contemporary gin. It has flavors and aromas more predominant than juniper. And also we have a grape mark spirit, like a grappa or Orujo in Spain. different names, and also a 20-year-old wine brand. And they have something in common, that's the unique Baga grape variety from our region, Bairrada. And it's, this year we launched a unique edition, so it's called the Signature Edition, that we stand out with a new botanical, and we are preparing the new edition. In this new edition, we aged for a couple of months our gin in oak barrels and achieved a great result. Hope you can sample later. And Rui here is our master distiller. He's the guy that accepts my challenges to, get new products in the market, get out of the box, because people are craving for new stuff, and that's we want to achieve. New products to surprise people every day.
It's always very hard to be a prophet in your own country. So, I mean, Portugal is a so old tradition, and so is it hard? Do you face difficulties on your time to change the education around gin?
So it's curious because Portugal is not our #1 client in gin-wise, but it's our #2 client. So Portugal has been accepting very good our product. We are been growing in Portugal at like 40 or 50% rate each year. So it's a good growth rate. Gin is getting very big. So what we want to achieve now is new ways of presenting traditional products or conventional products like gin, so people can, let's say, discover new things.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was, we open here finally the discussion. So thanks so much, Alex, to lead this. Yeah, so the message is be proud, be disruptive, okay? Don't be afraid to lose what you build to bring us to the next step. That's what Alex did with this team. Thanks, respect.